Today, in the fourth of these series of the best ever unboxing and review video accessories series, number 4, I'd like to talk to you about the monitor mount. The second video after the overview, I discussed the camera cage and why I got that. Then, the third video was on the video monitor cage and why I got that. And the fourth video is going to be on the URig video field monitor mount. It's the RO58, costs 48 bucks. So let's do the best ever unboxing. There's a box, open it up, pull out the plastic bag, put the box away. I'm great at unboxings. So here's what you have in there. You have the mount and you have a NATO rail. 2 screws and the Allen key, countersunk screws. So the idea is, fits all on there and locks it all solid. This is very well made. I've got a bit of a unique design here. Normally when you have a clamp, you have one half coming over and then a screw going through that, screw in the bottom bit, and the clamp moves up and down like that. This section, the dovetail section, the C, is also part of this round cylinder for the tilt, all machined in one piece. So they have one block, they drill a hole through the middle which fits on there, that allows you to tilt. Then what they've done is they've machined this dovetail out in one go. Then they've put a slot in between this section, so as when you tighten that up on the cylinder, squeezes down and stops it from tilting. Great. So then instead of having another screw for the clamp to clamp up, they've tapped into that as well. So to allow that to move, they've cut a groove. What's popular these days is that instead of having 2 halves separate, you make them in half and you still have them attached, but you cut the material thinner so as the material can bend. Of course, the problem with that is, depending how often you use it, and especially if it's an airplane flying in the sky, it can get something called metal fatigue. So one day you'll be going like that and it'll snap. You won't be able to tighten it back up because it's tightening up here. So they're easier to make, less parts you have to make in the assembly shop and all that. Long term, they're not that secure. So that's the design they've done here. And so what they've done is that this plate sits up the top, the other plate passes through it. So this section here bends down. So it actually bends down in there like that. So it's all one piece, around there. I could bend my fingers, so it bends it like that. So the screw pulls that up as well. So that means that when you loosen one, the other one is automatically loosened. So if you adjust that there, the monitor can tilt, but also the rail comes loose. So that may be a drawback. So to stop it slipping off, they actually supply a NATO rail and it's got 2 spring pins on it. So what that does is that allows you to push it in, then cannot fall out. Still can come a bit loose, of course, but your monitor won't fall down on the ground. So that is good. Now when you tighten the screw down, it is tight, can't push it, can't bend it. They supply a locking pin, which is great. A large thumb screw that's got, it looks like a 20 dp gear. It's got big teeth in it, but that's good to grip. Now that pin is supposed to fit in, so when you tilt it, it locks it. So you lock it secure and it's not going to move on you. Because the trouble with quarter 20, these screws, is that if you move in the direction of it tightening, they're great. But if you knock it, they loosen very easily. You should always try to position it so as if it gets knocked, it's going to tighten rather than loosen. But that's not always possible. So let's see how we go. So why did I buy this? It's fairly expensive, even though it's made by URig. It is well made. It's top quality there. Remember back to second video on the cage, it's got the NATO rails. So the idea is that I can fit this on there and I can use this supplied NATO rail with the screws onto something else. And I'm thinking about my radio control transmitter, to control the Rowan S, make up a bracket that this fits onto the hand grip of the RC controller, and the monitor can sit there. I just have to loosen this off, take the monitor over, tighten it on the RC. So that's the main reason why I purchased this particular one. It's more expensive than others. I hope it's more universal. Already you can see your eyes here, the monitor's up here, and with this hanging over, the monitor's actually way up here. Maybe with shorter lenses, you may get in the shot, I don't know. So let's see how it fits. And I can tell you now, it doesn't. It doesn't. It fits this one great, as I just showed you. This brings me back to the problem with Chinese clones, copies, all that sort of thing. Lots of things have a standard. You have your 3/8, you have your quarter, and like I told you in the previous videos, the quarter 20 tapped holes are drilled 5.1 millimeter. Now if somebody drills them 5.9, the thread's going to be very loose, sloppy, and it may strip easily. So there's certain engineering standards. NATO rails have a set of standards. Must meet this dimension, that width, that angle, that sort of thing. RE pinned holes and all that, they're all a certain standard. So you pick up something from Chinese manufacturer number 1, it says it's an RE, and you pick up a matching part that's supposed to go in it from Chinese manufacturer 2, they should go in there and fit, but they don't. You might say, okay, that NATO rail is too big. It's got 3. Doesn't fit that NATO rail. Doesn't fit that NATO rail. It gets back to the question we often ask, whose fault is it? Is the cage wrong, or is the bracket, monitor mounting bracket wrong? And when I ask the question always, whose fault is it? I always get the same reply. Always somebody else's. At the moment, I'm having a quarrel with the supplier of this, and it not only goes there, it's supposed to be a monitor mount, and remember I said it's got the nice pin. Now this isn't 3/8, not a 3/8 hole, this is a quarter thread, so it should fit. But when I put it on the quarter holes to screw it in, it does not fit. I repeat, it does not fit because of the measurements in the previous videos. And this one here, 7.5, so that's about 15. So that will be the RE mount on here. You did great. The pin now lines up, but the RE is 3/8. This is only quarter. Plus, this goes that way, not that way. I suppose I can make up an adapter, the 3/8 quarter tapped screw little adapter you see, and screw that in and have that there. I might be able to mount it like that. It can be a forced fit if you fit it upside down, but you don't pay $50 for something that you have to fit upside down and make up adapters for yourself. That's a problem, and that's why I wanted to show you this early on. This is first part, third part, second part won't fit. To fix it, and this is where it becomes difficult, you have to machine about 1 millimeter half off that lip. And I'll show you in this photo, when I place that on top of there and you look along, you can see one is thicker than the other. So what happened is that you've got the thicker one and you've got the thinner one. This bracket is thinner, so it won't go on the thick one. If this clamp was like the type that moved I showed you before, it would be no problem. You would just loosen it off a couple of turns to get that extra millimeter and it would fit. So their design works perfect for their product, but it's not a general enough design to fit on other NATO rails made by other manufacturers. So that's a problem. To fix it, you'd have to clamp it in the mill, put a washer in there, tighten that up because that center section is free. So once you started cutting, it bounced around. So that's to lock it in position and take a cut in there, couple of mil with a dovetail cutter. Second problem is the pin doesn't do its job. So great, it goes down, but your monitor can still spin around. So that would mean you'd have to drill a hole in there the right distance apart, say a 2 mil hole for a 2 mil pin, and make it fit. But then that would permanently sit up. Or the other solution is on these holes, slots. Fits on there like that. So on the right hand side, it fits on there like that. So this one here, you slot 3 mil wider. It won't rotate because pin is still there. It still moves that way but it won't rotate that way. I'm asking the manufacturer, the supplier, for a refund. I'll just return it, because you can buy a cheaper screw-in-one, half the price. So why pay more for something that doesn't work? So that's a disappointment. It looks like the monitor mount will be going back to the supplier, because even though it's upside down, even though the NATO rail didn't work, the pin didn't work, that keeps getting loose. It's bolted, the NATO rail, their NATO rails bolted to the bottom. All those are mechanical engineering problems that could be met, and after I went through the other videos, I have assembled it up, and the problem is you can't get to the power terminals. DC in, 12 volt, can't fit. 8.4 out, can't fit. So with the cage, that could have come down, say, that much. So as when it was fitted, that was there. But it just means that this bracket here can only be that wide. So lose, 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 lose. So there's just too many things wrong with it for this setup. So we'll see how we go. So this is Back to the Future 2. It looks like it really should be called the Neverending Story. As you would have realised by now, nothing is plug and play. I have finished it, and I just wanted to show you today what I had to do to get it fixed. When I purchased it all, it was supposed to be from a local eBay seller, so it didn't work. And I said, well, look, it's supposed to fit monitors, it doesn't. So we had to do a return, eBay return. Now, even though, and this is what the shifty eBay sellers are doing now, they have a Chinese company shop business, and then they have local agents now. So they'll have, Chinese students, whatever, and they say, ship to this country, we'll send you 10 of these, and when the orders come, we'll let you know, and you post it to this guy, that guy, and all that sort of thing. Which is great. Cuts down on the 90-day lead time, that sort of thing, so that was good. So I said, right, certain things were coming at certain times, and waiting and waiting. The first one I ordered, the monitor mount, never turned up. 3 weeks, it's not listed, they didn't send it, blah, blah. Okay, so I reordered it. So it was 5 week time before it delivered. But it didn't fit. You saw why, even when I turned it upside down, it didn't fit. So I said, okay, I'll return it and I'll just buy another one. Different model, that sort of thing. The scam is, they have postage. Before it used to be, it was a problem, the seller paid the postage. Now it's buyer, you have to read right there, now buyer pays for postage. Okay, the item was $48. The return address they give you isn't the one that they said they posted it from. So it's not the one in your country. The return address is in China. You buy it off this guy, but you have to send it back to these guys. Why did they do that? Because China got a developing world classification through the postal service, and that means that what might cost you $10 to post only costs them $1 to post. That's why it's so cheap to send it over. And if you look at items from America, you think you're paying for a guy to hop on the plane and fly over with it sitting on his lap. That's the difference. So it costs $48. You go up to the post office, you say, okay, I want to post this to China. How much? Oh, $50. Do you want a signature? That's more. So they end up getting you to get stuck with an item that you would lose money sending it back to them. And they, you can sell it local. Always look right down the bottom and it says, buyer pays return postage. See the address, ask them, are you a local seller, and do I get to send it back to you in your local country? I was stuck with it. Alright, I briefly showed you what I thought you'd need to do to get it to work. So I went out to the CNC for a workshop, just Google that on YouTube, and you'll see all the other videos. So I had to mill up. I had to take off the little dovetail, mill that off so it fitted. Then when I done that, it fitted okay, it slide in and out. Then it came to the ARI pin not fitting in the CamMate Field World pinhole distance. I was originally going to machine into the top of the mount and make another pin. But I thought, nah, if I put this on something else, it won't fit that either. So I then machined up hole, the little hole it's in here, one side, to take the ARI distance. So I just milled that, so that's what that other photo of. So then the monitor could fit onto the top of the mount, and the mount could fit on the cage, and I could undo it and tilt it. Well, then, as I showed you when my first attempt with it upside down, their NATO rail was too wide. The top of their plate also covered the power cable pinholes, so you couldn't get the cable power in there. So I then have to go and machine the front sections away, the corners, so as the two plugs will fit up. Don't be to show you that it fits. So after all that, I managed to finish the monitor mount, and goes from there to there. So good range. Just lock it up. How secure. This is the angle. So nice and secure. If you want to know how I do it, I'll just go to a video just on the modifications. If you want to send a return postage item, I can machine it up for you for around 25 bucks. That never-ending story coming to an end. We'll end this Back to the Future Part 2, and I get to say my goodbyes. So now the choice is, what next? Do we get out the monitor and do the unboxing of that? Okay, so if you've got any questions, don't forget to subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.